The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to the first step of quality management, the 5S methodology and tracking programs with John Tooley from Advanced Energy. This is Chris Cohn from Efficiency First California. I will be your moderator today for the webinar. This is part of the Build It Green webinar series, continuing education for contractors in the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade and the PG&E AC Quality Care programs. I would like to welcome our contractors on the call today from the Home Upgrade program. As you all know, this is a incentive program to encourage efficiency measures in homes based on the whole house approach. Welcome to today's program. And also welcome to the PG&E AC Quality Care Rebate Program contractors who are delivering services to customers regarding their HVA systems and improving and monitoring the performance of those systems. Welcome to the broadcast today. We have a number of events that I would like to bring to your attention, and I'm going to move through them fairly quickly because our main event today is John's presentation. But for your information, there are two 45-minute webinars coming up next week for home upgrade contractors. This is a briefing on the Energy Upgrade California logo branding process that is launching nationwide. So this is highly requested that you attend one of these webinars, so please put these on your calendar. For full details, you can visit the builditgreenutility.org/calendar page, and that will give you more details about these briefings. Also on the 19th in the afternoon is a full-on webinar for home upgrade contractors about how to get the most out of your participation in the home upgrade program. It will go over all the details of being in the program and best practices and tips and tools to make the program work well for you. So that is also something you can register for, a free webinar through Build It Green. Then on August 27th, we have our regular monthly NorCal Collaboration Forum meeting. This is where participating contractors in the home upgrade program and program implementer partners convene to discuss how to make the program work better and be more effective. If you would like to be a part of the NorCal forum, please drop me an email. My address there is on the screen. We also have webinars available through Efficiency First, our national parent organization. There are two on September 3rd, Good, Better, Best, Navigating the All-Important Homeowner Conversation with 3 experts in the field. This does bring a 1.5 BPI CEU credit. On September 9th, it's Get Caught Up, BPI Initiatives That Impact Your Business with Tiger Adolph from the Building Performance Institute and John Jones. Both those webinars, to register, please visit the URL on your screen. It's free to Efficiency First members and $50 to non-members. Then our next Build It Green webinar presentation will be on September 10th with Mike Rogers, who will be talking about avoiding the audit report trap in your sales presentation. And this webinar is free to all the contractors in both the home upgrade and the PG&E AC Quality Care programs. If you would like to register for that, please visit the Build It Green website, and there's registration information there. Then on September 15th, for those of you for building performance building analysts and raters who are holding BPI certifications and who will be in charge of submitting combustion appliance safety test results to the Home upgrade program, there's a special technical training for you. This is free, September 15th from 9 a.m. to 4:30. So please check that out. Again, the Build It Green website will be your best resource for registration for this event. And finally, on September 18th and 19th, Build It Green is hosting an in-person 2-day training for the Certified Green Building Professional certification. The training is free. The exam to qualify for this certificate is $150. And again, event details will be available on the Build It Green Utility/calendar webpage. So thank you for your attention as I run through our events for the upcoming months here. And now I would like to introduce today's presenter. We are very fortunate to have John Tooley, a senior building science consultant with Advanced Energy, as our presenter today. John has a vast experience in building science, in the retrofitting of homes, in weatherization programs, and is a recognized expert in the field of quality management, which he will be speaking to us about today. So I want to welcome John to the webinar and look forward to his comments today. Before we get going, I do want to remind everyone that at the end of John's presentation, we will have time for questions. And under the format that we have today, questions can be submitted through your question pane on your control panel. So if you look to the right of your screen, you should see this control panel, and the question pane is near the bottom. If you click the plus sign and open that up, it will give you an area in which you can submit questions for John, and when we get to the Q&A, I will be monitoring those questions and relaying them to John so that you can have the benefit of his insight and answers to those questions. So please feel free to submit questions at any point during the presentation. You don't have to wait till the end, and we will address them all during the Q&A session. So at this point, I would like to hand the presentation over to John. And welcome, John.
Thank you very much, and let me welcome everybody that has joined us. I do have one announcement so that I don't have to say it a lot of times during the presentation. I will be talking about several quality improvement tools, and you can have each one of them free of cost by just getting a hold of Build It Green and letting them know you want the tools from this webinar. Next slide, please. Let me also thank Energy Upgrade California and Bill Green for having me and for sponsoring this webinar, which I think you'll find to be most important to your business in developing and growing a sustainable future. Next slide. So our agenda today, I've kind of broken it into about 5 different things. We'll go over real briefly the first steps of quality management so we can see somewhat of a roadmap to start off with. Then I'm going to discuss the 5S process, which actually has the capability of energizing the entire company towards quality improvement. And then how to make that quality improvement visual so that everybody every day is reminded and can see how we're doing and how we're progressing. And then I'm going to discuss how to identify the cause of problems. You know, I think that in a lot of my past experience in my company for lots of years, I've found myself putting out the same fires year in and year out, and I'm so appreciative to coming across the information of how to get down to the cause of those problems and put the fire out once and for all. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then all the way through, I'm going to talk about how each one of these increase the bottom line, which is important to us all, that our companies grow and make greater margins. Next slide. Quality management does have benefits, much more than 4, but I took 4 of the ones that seem to be the most important. And if we implement quality management, there are a few things that we can begin to see and are on the level of guaranteed. If we implement quality management, we'll have less rework, our profits will go up, and here's a good one that is really important to me, is that we'll have increased production with less human effort. In other words, I can do more work with less billable hours. Not billable hours, let's just say less human effort, where I can get a lot more work done for the amount of time, which will also increase our market share. Next slide. So the objective is quality execution, and the more we execute quality, the higher the value of our company becomes, and I think we're going to find this to be true as we implement. Next slide. The focus of quality management, first and foremost, is on people. It must start with employees, which are internal, and then also external, which are customers, suppliers, and funders. And it focuses on all 4 of those. And so first step is people, and second step is waste reduction. And by waste, I mean defects, mistakes, intentional and unintentional, process problems, lack of or inefficient processes that we might have, those terrible times we wait on materials or people at the job. Transportation also falls into the category where it takes us exceeding amount of time to get to work and the expense of getting there and getting back. And then lastly, not using the intellect of our employees is probably one of the largest areas that we might be able to gain bottom line capabilities. Next slide. I mentioned earlier that the more we increase quality execution, the greater value our companies become. And improving quality absolutely will and put us in a competitive position that we want. And all the research that I've ever seen shows that there's a direct correlation between quality and a company's value. Next slide. So this is really, really important in the first steps of quality management, is that we've got to have something, a fast and easy win. Never choose something that's very complicated to apply the principles I talked about in the first seminar as well as I'll talk about in this one. So it's a must that we have fast, something we can do real quick, and something that will be easy so that we get a quick win. And then it needs to be a positive encounter to our entire company, where everybody sees that something is changing, but see it for the positive. Next slide.
Okay, we would like to run a poll question now, and you see it on your screen. Does your company have regularly scheduled truck cleanups and maintain an up-to-date inventory checklist on every vehicle? Please answer yes or no, and we will close that poll in just a minute. And here are our results. Well, it looks like it's even up there on the practice of the cleanups and the up-to-date inventory. Thank you for participating in the poll, and now back to John.
It's commendable to those of you who do, and I'm now going to try to tell those of you who don't how important it might be. And it's just a part of a process which is called the 5S process. And you can see from the slide, it starts with sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So there are the 5 S's. Next slide. I think that what we need to do is, like I said, get fast and easy wins. And I certainly would start this process with my fleet, my trucks, and make sure that we go through everything and discard things that are not needed in the truck. In other words, absolutely those things which we kind of say, well, we may need that we haven't touched in months, discard those things and sort out every single thing that's in that truck. A good way to start this is on either a Friday afternoon after everybody's come in, the management goes out and takes one truck as an example that they can use on Monday morning for everybody to see that this has been applied to one truck. I'd apply it to the fleet, then I'd apply it to the warehouse, and then to the office. We have done that here in our office, and I have my office, my desk, my bookshelves, everything has the 5S process clearly done now. But the one place I haven't done it is my computer. So I'm working through sorting out, which has been an incredible task, but I'm trying to get her done. So the first one is sort. The second one, as you can see, is set in order. Next slide. In this case, everything has a place and every place has a thing. So in the trucks, if I were to blindfold the person who uses that truck on a regular basis and ask them where the 3-inch screws were, they could point to them because everything has a place and every place has a thing. This will increase efficiency. If you switch trucks from crew to crew, then they will learn real fast where each truck things are. But it's really important to make sure that everything in that truck has a place and every place has a thing. So the third one is shine, and I think that one probably is pretty clean. It's clean, sweep, and shine. I mean literally spick and span. Think of your customer walking past the truck and look in and see how well it's been sorted, set in order, and how clean it is, even though it's in the middle of the day. All refuge, all trash is well corralled and kept in order, and they look at that and they're amazed. It only points towards a company that's well organized and ready to do the highest quality work. The next step is standardize. Next slide, thank you. Get everyone in the company to standardize day in and day out this process. Practice, practice, practice. Any team going to a sport recognizes that constant practice will bring them rewards and win the game. And then the last one, sustain. Sustain is where everybody works to set in place the processes that will sustain and keep each one of these in place. In other words, build a company that has a 5S culture. So if you can imagine it, on Monday morning, here's this truck that's been washed and cleaned and sorted and set in order, and now it's being presented to the people as this is the way, let's do this on all our trucks so that we represent a different kind of company. And hats off to those companies that have done this. Having an inventory on every truck means that I don't get to the site and not have the right materials, and it looks great and people see the difference. Next slide. By people I also mean our employees. It allows us to have visual order. It's nearly astonishing as people come to work and they see it. It brings organization and cleanliness. It standardizes what we do. And everybody is able to have visual ability to see, exactly what's going on and begin to take pride in their work. Next slide. Which leads us into, from the 5S to visual management, making the quality improvement we're doing in the company visual. Next slide. It's really important that we have visual management because it allows us to see the work we're doing in it and how it's doing in process. It'll also help us keep inventory levels at their right level. That's part of the 5S. It identifies defects. It helps us identify deviation from our standards. In other words, if something's out of place, it's easy to see that and can be put back in place quite easily. Enables improvements and improves our safety. Next slide, please. We have been living with visual management all around in our life. And every one of these are signs that you see on a regular basis. The one down in the bottom left-hand corner is probably the most interesting because when you run up on this sign, the first thing most of us do is hit our brakes, even if we're doing 25 miles an hour, because none of these signs blame you. They are only instructive. They're visual management to produce quality and safety. Next slide. I have my granddaughter, which still lives with us, and we're helping her get through college, and she has lots of electronics in her bedroom, and I wanted to use visual management rather than having to tell her to turn off the lights, turn off the TV, turn off the computer, and so on and so on. It would just be a constant hassle every day to her and to us. So it's hard to see, but I hung a piece of string in the middle of her door and put a heart on the end of it. And I said to her, I've hung this with a heart on the end of it, and every time you come out of the room and you run into it or you dodge it, remember it's just a reminder to turn off the light, the ceiling fan, the things that are on in the room. And by the way, the heart is to let you know that your grandmother and I love you dearly. And I never mention it again. That's visual management. That no longer hangs in her door. It has become muscle memory for her, and it never had anything negative about it. Next slide. Here's just another example of your child's first car, visual management. Next slide. And we've had these and not realize that all they are is visual management, ways of helping and instructing us what to do or not do. Next slide. Safety zones, both in the gauge itself, where's the unsafe zones, as well as the yellow lines in the left-hand picture that show where you should never park anything in that zone. As you can see, a couple of places have violated that, so that now there is a safety problem in this portion of the building. Next slide. And this one's been around for a very, very long time. I live out in the country, and this is the way I give visual management to my mail person, that there's mail. I don't have to stand there and tell them to pick up the mail. The established visual management works quite well. Next picture. And it's even been incorporated into the keys of our car. And I think if you look around you, you can see that there are a lot of things that are all over your office, all over the truck, that are just visual management going on to help you work and do your life in a much easier way. Next picture. Recycling has also been a visual management process. Next slide. Tool boards that have shadows on them, you can see that there's one hammer missing. Just a glance at the board and you can see something's missing. It's visual management at its best. Next picture. If you're a member of this company and pink is something important and you walk into the office, there are 3, maybe 4 areas there that are alerting you that there's something that needs action right now. Each one of the slips have key feedback on them, and again, this is just another way of visual management so that people can move fast and be able to do more efficient work. Next slide. Now, I want to stop and give us a real important attention here. And it's a very critical point. All work is a process. So there isn't anything that we do that isn't a process. And it's important to know that process fails more than people. Let me repeat that because it's very important. Process fails more than people. So therefore, in our business, as I mentioned in our last webinar, blame should fall on the process, not the people. It should fall on the process, not the people. The only time blame falls on people is when they do something intentionally wrong. Drink on the job. Don't do standards that they know and have been trained to do, and they deliberately don't do them. That draws blame to people. But apart from that, 99% of all blame should fall on the process. So therefore, we work on the process. And then all defects are caused, and if they're caused, they all can be prevented. Next slide. So as I move forward, I just want to really make it clear that there should not be any blame except on the process. Next slide. One of our great quality gurus, Dr. Deming, who helped build Japan, one of his management points, point 8, he had 14 of them, major points. The 8th one was, we must drive fear out of the workplace. It's impossible to get quality improvement from your people if they're afraid to point out where things could be improved or where things are being done wrong. They'll duck under the radar, they'll hide for fear that they'll be blamed. Next picture. So here is a quality improvement spreadsheet. And if you look in the 2013 column, in 2013, on average, the CO detectors were not being installed in houses, so much so that the company expended $74,400 going back and putting them in. So the company decides that they're going to track 2014 against 2013. So if you look down below, it says year to date. Well, right now they've expended $31,255. Their average cost per month is a little over $3,000. And they're on target to save the company this year $32,727. So this company, looking just at the spreadsheet, which most people can't look at this and discern real quick. So this spreadsheet not only generates the numbers for you. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. This is last webinar we talked about the spreadsheet for the cost of doing business. That's where these numbers come from, and the calculating the cost of poor quality. So all these numbers come from what does it cost to do business, and then what does it cost for us to go back in this case and install CO detectors, go back to the home. Next slide. So from that spreadsheet, it creates a graph. And as you can see, there's the over $6,000 on average for 2013, and how are they doing in 2014. And we can see that in every single month, the crews have been saving the company large amounts of money, on average about $3,000 per month. That's a serious savings that goes straight to the bottom line. These spreadsheets, again, can be obtained by contacting Bill Green, and they'd be more than happy to get them to you. Next picture. So if you took that spreadsheet and the graph and you put it on your quality improvement board, it becomes visual management. It can become every single day a celebration. Everybody can see it, and everybody can look at that graph and see that every single month there has been savings. Next slide. It is visual. Now, here's one where there's large amount of installation callbacks. In 2013, the company lost almost $100,000, on average about $8,300 a month, and they're tracking 2014, and there's a serious savings going on, about $5,700 a month. The graph looks like the next slide. Next slide, please. And you can see that from their day of tracking and beginning to look at this, remember, everybody sees this on the management board, the visual management board, and they can see their success. And it should be celebrated, because this is going straight to the bottom line. It can be celebrated by picnics. It can be celebrated by every single time it's posted, ringing a large bell that everybody in the company knows, man, we are kicking butt. Next slide. And then it's posted. It becomes visual. Quality improvement has to be transparent. People have to see how they're doing, and it must be celebrated. Next slide. So what about day to day? You know, I've got a problem that happened today that didn't happen last year, or month to month. Let me show you what we do there. Next slide.
So before we get to that, we would like to conduct our second poll question today, which is, does your company track customer complaints, installation errors, or calls from the field requiring troubleshooting on some kind of board or tracking spreadsheet? So please take a moment to answer the question. We'll give it a few more seconds here, and then we'll show the results. Okay, I think we can go to here we go. The results should be displaying on your screen now. So it looks like there's a pretty good difference there. John, do you have a comment on the results?
Yeah, I think we're going to give a solution to this, and I really appreciate everybody doing these polls, because it's very helpful for me to see and for you to hear that there are solutions to these problems. In every single case, most of them are quite simple.
Great. Okay, well, sorry. We'll close the poll and continue with the presentation.
So we have what is called an event log. And it's, again, a spreadsheet that you can get from Bill Green. But it starts off with the first day of every month, and every single time there's either a defect or a problem arises, or a customer calls in with a complaint, or somebody from the field is having a problem, it's just logged in and a color is assigned. I don't know if you can read the first one, but on March 3, no weather stripping on attic hatch. Well, it didn't happen until March 4 and so on and so on. You can see that same color as it goes down through the spreadsheet. You assign the color and then you give it a column. So now as the month goes on, I'm actually tracking what's the most important things for me to deal with, as well as what are the areas I need to make sure my people are trained on. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So, in order to be able to use the tracking tool, we use the cost of poor quality tool, and attic hatch not weather stripped in this particular month took place 9 times. Every time they had to go back, it was $415 each time, and that equated to $3,735 in the month of March. So these have come from the spreadsheets we've already done. Next slide. I guess a bigger question comes is, why in the world is this happening? And that's a good question to be asking, and I intend to answer that question. Why in the world is it constantly happening? It didn't happen last month or the month before that, and now it's happening. Or, geez, that's been happening all along. I can't figure out how to get it to stop. That's what we're about to answer. Next slide. So problem solving is a whole lot like putting together a puzzle, and I really mean that. But some puzzles are more simple than others. And I said we need to do those things that are easy and fast to get wins. Let's try it. Next slide, please. The first thing in problem solving to find out what in the world is making things happen is to make sure that we understand that what we see is rarely the problem. In this case, somebody being angry is not the problem. It can be all those things you see in the red area. Any one of those could have caused it. But we might tell this person, look, you cannot display your anger. But in fact, it may be home life. They may be just having a bad day. You know what I mean? We all have those same issues. But what I see in the field, what I see in the office, in the warehouse, that I consider a problem, rarely is the problem. We need to go much deeper and get to the root cause of the problem. Next slide. So why in the world was the weather stripping not put on the attic hatch? Or why weren't the floor penetrations sealed properly? Why in the world is this happening? Next slide. Next slide, please. We should probably sit down and ask why no less than 5 times to get to the root cause. It's really important, in my opinion, that when you do the 5 whys, you have the supervisor, the people who do the work at the table, and we begin to ask why no less than 5 times. There was no weather stripping on the attic hatch. Question, why? There was no weather stripping on the truck. Question, why? It wasn't on the work order. The question, well, why wasn't it on the work order? The salesperson didn't document it during the assessment. Well, why didn't it get documented by the salesperson? There was no standardized assessment form. Well, why can that possibly be so? We overlook the detail when we made out the form. Next slide. Root cause and solution. Add weather stripping to add a catch to the assessment form, and train the assessment and crew people on the change. It isn't who did it, it's why. Why in the world could this happen in our company, and what process do we need to change? In this case, it was nothing more than changing the assessment form and getting everybody trained. And remember, we also had floor penetrations that were not sealed. Let's take a look at it. Next slide. The floor penetrations were not completely sealed. Why could that possibly be? We didn't know there was the floor to exterior wall connections were included. Well, why didn't you know that? We've never done it that way ever before. Why is that possible in our company? We did not know we should do it. Why is that? We were never trained to do it. Why weren't we trained? Because there was no scope to even do that. Root cause? No scope. Solution? Next slide. Create a scope and then train for exterior wall to floor penetration air sealing. Both of these are simple, and sometimes it takes more than 5 whys. But keep asking why in a blame-free atmosphere, and you'll get to the root cause and be able to put the fire out once and for all. A good practice is also to do what I call a book of lessons learned. Somewhere on your computer in a file where everybody knows where it is the book of lessons learned. Things we have done, the 5 whys, come to the root cause and have come to the solution. So if this raises its head again, you already have the solution at hand and don't have to solve it twice. Next slide.
So now we have our third poll question, which should be coming up on your screen right now. Which of the following is not a benefit of asking why to get to the root cause of a problem? So there are 5 options there, and what you're looking to do is to identify the one option that is not a benefit of the why technique. So we'll give that a few seconds here, a few more seconds for folks to consider and select which of the 5 items is not a benefit of asking why to get to the root cause of a problem. Okay, and here comes our results. Fantastic audience. Everybody's paying attention.
Congratulations.
Number 2 is the correct answer.
Yes, it is. 100%. Great.
Great. Well, we'll close the poll now and get back to our presentation.
So with the 5 whys, I can see that we all see that you get right straight to the root cause. Let me repeat that it's important to have the people who do the work at the table as we produce the root cause. The reason it's so important to do visual management is, by the way, it motivates everybody to improve because it's become transparent. It's not hidden behind doors, and we can see from the management through the entire company commitment to make this happen. It actually brings out conversation and communication amongst everybody in the company. It highlights process problems to everybody. All of a sudden, everybody is ready to do the 5 whys when a problem comes about. So problems become an indication of a solution process. And visual management can expose waste so that it can be eliminated. All waste increases the bottom line if it's eliminated. Visual management is a good tool to use in a company to energize the entire company. Remember, choose easy and fast things to get a win. Don't choose something big in the beginning. We all need to feel success. Next picture, there, next slide. I put this in here because here's another way to use visual management. It's in the form of a checklist, and it also, this checklist is done at the point of work. In other words, somebody does work, then checks their work, and then moves on. So in other words, this is air sealing using hard barriers in an attic, and they're sealing some chases, the first one there, and they check their work, and they see that there's a portion of it that they didn't get right. They would do an X and then fix it and then a check mark. The exclamation point is for the quality assurance folks. If they went out and found something wrong, that would mean that somebody checked it before them and missed something. When we check this in the field, this is done at the point of work, so whoever's checking it saying, I did my work, I checked the work, and I certified that it's defect-free. This eliminates a lot of error in the field. It's another way to make sure that we reduce defects and mistakes. Next slide. I wish this was something that I came up with, but this has been around for a long time. This is just a checklist from an injection mold company. And they do molding of all different kind of plastic devices, and they use a checklist just the same. I went to the Kentucky Toyota plant and moved from station to station as they were building cars. They likewise have a checklist that the person doing the work checks off that they checked their work before they moved it forward and found it to be defect-free. It's just a very good process at the point of work. Next slide, please. Well, in review, we've talked about the 5S process, where we sort, we set an order, we clean, sweep, and shine. We standardize that across the entire company, and then we set processes in place to sustain it so that everybody can now see a very visual representation of how our company feels. Then we said that it is important that we actually have a blame-free workplace. In other words, stopping mistakes from becoming a defect. Our workers don't come to work every day high-fiving in front of the truck saying, let's go in and screw up that house today. They actually come with the intent of trying to do their work right. Blame falls on those workers who intentionally do wrong. And then we talked about visual management and how it's been in our life for a long time, and how we can begin to slowly but surely put it into the workings of our company through a quality improvement board where we post victory. We post the actual cost of doing work wrong, and it energizes everybody to want to improve. We also talked about creating an event log so that as mistakes, defects, complaints, problems come in, they're actually put into a spreadsheet, assigned a color, and that spreadsheet will actually total them and give you the capability of taking that spreadsheet and its outcome and putting it on the visual management board, which is quality improvement. People can see how they're doing. And then the big why. Why is this happening, and how in the world do I quit fighting fires every single day? Is to begin to start getting to the root of a problem. Remember that when we see things that we consider a problem, they usually are not the problem. They're only the evidence of something deeper, and we need to learn how to begin to go at least the minimum of 5 whys, seeking out the root cause of the problem so that we can extinguish it for all time in our company and increase the amount of margin that we can put to the bottom line. Next slide. So as you can see here, this picture is very clear. When I look at the picture, I can see all of it. I can see sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. They're making quality visual in every single thing they do. If we do this, it increases our bottom line. It increases the pride of our workers. It is a very good financial investment. Next slide. And with that, I want to thank you so much for your patience and your participation in those polls and this series of webinars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. That was a great presentation, and I see that we do have some questions in the pipeline. I do want to remind everyone that if you want to ask John a question, please use the question pane in your control panel, which should be located on one side or the other of your screen. You can type in your question. It will come to me, and I can relay it to John for our Q&A session. So I will leave this slide up on the screen as a reminder, and as we go along in the Q&A, please submit questions that occur to you. So let's see here. We do have some questions in already for you, John. Let's see here. Does having a company culture focused on quality affect employee productivity and morale?
Well, a big yes. Let me explain it. When there are a lot of, quality is a system, so therefore as we begin to implement any portion of it, as long as we avoid blame, it does raise morale. As morale goes up, production goes up. The more people are proud of their work and happy to come to work, the greater the production becomes. They can see that management is truly committed to the improvement not only of their job, but of their personal life. Remember, quality starts with people first, and they can feel it when they see that they're a team and that their work is rewarded on a regular basis with celebration of success. Yes, production and morale go up as we put quality management in place.
Our next question has to do with the communication board. It says, would you advise, and how can I make the communication board digital so my crews have access to it in the field?
Whoa, what a great idea. I never thought about it actually ending up on their tablets. Each one of the tools that Bella Green has for you are all Excel spreadsheets. I do believe that you could make each one of them accessible to them, and all the spreadsheets can be made prettied up by somebody in your company, where when they access any one of them, they can see how they're doing. I think it's a great idea that they could get feedback in the field. I've always felt that the faster I can get feedback to my people, the better improvement becomes. So that's a great idea. I'm not an IT person, but I'm certainly intrigued by the thought of being able to get that feedback immediately to the field. Great idea.
Our next question has to do with the event log that you mentioned. The question is, are the defect categories in the log standardized so everyone is using the same description?
The answer to that is no. No, in fact, I'm not sure. This is intrinsic to the company. This is in no way meant to be outside of the company. This is something that's generated in the company. I believe that quality control must be a contractor-centric issue. So therefore, there aren't the categories nor standard language that are used on them or any of those things. It would certainly be standardized within the company, and that would be company to company, because one company may specialize in HVAC, and that's their entry into the market. Another might be home performance. Another might be home energy rating or assessments. But in each case, that event log is intrinsic to that company so that they can improve on a regular basis. The only standardization of language would be inside that company.
Okay. Our next question is, what is the best way to maintain a clean and well-organized truck when the culture used to be messy and disorganized?
Well, I can say to all the managers listening right now, it starts at management. And I don't mean that from anything other than if on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning we all go out there and we do a truck, and on Monday morning everybody comes and they can see the difference, and you're standing there telling them, look, I have allowed us all to slip into where we just don't keep our trucks very well kept. And over Friday afternoon or Saturday or whenever you've done it, we came and we put a truck together. Let's all join together and clean up our trucks so that our customers, even at the slightest view of what we're doing, if they look at our truck, they see visually that we're committed to the quality of the work. That's where it starts. It's absolutely, it's hard to break habit. And that habit breaking can carry no retaliation, no sense of you've done wrong, and if you don't keep it this way, it all has to be a team effort to increase our market share and get ahead of our competition by the way we look. So it really is. I can't say it enough. And this is not an easy, changing culture is not easy. But that's why I said start with the truck, the warehouse, then the office. And for me, now on my computer. But changing a culture starts day one.
Our next question has to do with the tracking of information to help with the quality management process. It says, should I create a whole new job tracking system, or can I adapt the system I have?
I think you can very much adapt whatever system you have, because all this is doing is from the first seminar we talked about how to calculate the cost of poor quality. That's just looking at the things we're having problems with and how much it costs us. And these are just tools to create the visual management for that visual management board, as well as help management see how much it's costing to have poor quality or inefficient processes in place. So no, I don't think you need to change a whole operating system. This is something to be adapted.
Our next question is, what about competition between crews for the lowest defect rate? Does that sound like an effective way to motivate staff?
Well, competition has always been around. I don't think you'll actually have to do that. I think you're going to find out that they will do it on their own. Creating competition has its good and its bad effect. If a particular crew loses too many times, they become discouraged, and now you've got the issue of making sure that their morale doesn't drop. But I believe that you will find that as you begin to make quality visual, they will compete amongst themselves without your help.
So we have a question here about the why question method. Who needs to be in the room when we are applying the why method to identify root causes of defects? Is that everyone on staff, crew leaders, management?
Well, I'm going to answer that the most important people in the room are the people who have the problem. So do I need senior management to be in the room? Probably not. Do I need operations manager or a crew leader in the room? Absolutely. And as the 5 why, the minimum of 5 why, sometimes it takes 10, you need to have the people who are directly associated with the problem in the room. That's why I've emphasized so strongly. You can't have blame in the room, because guess what? You'll never get to the root cause. People will hide. So having the people that are associated with the problem, and then the immediate supervision, and if it needs senior management attention, then that supervision can take it on up the stream, but it's usually just at the level of management that's like the crew leader or the operations manager, along with the crews. No, you do not need the whole company.
Our next question says, clearly reducing defects saves money. Do you have a recommendation about how to reinvest some of those cost savings to enhance the quality management program, like software tools or just-in-time inventory tracking or some other resource?
Let me tell you that the number one investment, in my opinion, is to invest back in your people. It could be in professional development. And I can tell you the victories are large dollars in many companies. Having a picnic or a dinner in celebration are way more important than any tool you could buy. Now, secondary to that, obviously, any tracking tools or any other software or quality training or any of those things are also very good investments. But I would say that in the very beginning, you're going to find that the greatest investment you can make, and usually is a very small one, is rewarding your people.
Our next question has to do with standards, since that's one of the steps in the 5S process. It says, I am assuming the standards for workmanship should be based on industry standards like building codes and best practices. Do you advise having a manual or other source to document company standards?
Well, the answer to that is yes, and then let me explain it. Best practice is not a standard. It's the way best practice is the way you satisfy a standard. And I believe that every company should have standards, policies, procedures, and protocols that are very clear. And I also believe that in many of those cases there is need for best practice in your company as to how you satisfy those. Because the definition of quality is not goodness nor badness. There's no high quality, no low quality. Quality is doing agreed upon requirements. And we can add to that requirements, policies, procedures, and protocols. Either we did or we didn't. So a good, clear set of company standards, policies, procedures, and those kinds of things. The best practices always help us adequately meet those standards. Now, if I join a program, as all of you have done, I take my standards and I align them to the program standards and make any change that would be help my people be defect-free, and then I train it. But I feel like that the contractor should be the master of the standards, and programs bring their standards, and I will adopt to them and make sure that my people head toward zero defect.
So our next question has to do with managing a quality management system once it's being instituted, and who on staff would be best suited to track the defects and prepare the feedback reporting to the employees.
Well, I think that that probably will be different in every company, but I will give some caution. There is no such thing as a quality department. The second we give somebody the title of quality, the title of sales, the title of business development, it has a capability of everybody in the company then says, well, that's the quality guy's responsibility, or that's the business development will take care of that, or sales guys are going to do that. I believe that it actually falls under the umbrella of operations managers. Some companies don't have operations managers and they have crew leaders, so therefore it would fall to the crew leader. And then those are assembled together in a group of issues that we're dealing with, and management would then have to look at them. But I believe in every case it would be operations manager or the crew level management.
Now, you talked in the presentation about starting with easy wins, and the truck is an example of that. Are there other typical areas in a company structure where the 5S methodology would be applied, that where folks could be looking for opportunities to use it?
If you have a large warehouse and somebody is responsible for that warehouse and the supplies and stuff that go in it, there's another not physically quick win, because sometimes it's physically hard to change the warehouse. But the warehouse, it is so visual. If it falls into the 5S, which it should, the reason I didn't start with it is because usually it takes several weeks to get that warehouse in order. The office, again, I've seen some offices that look like a tornado hit them, and then I've walked in others that look like you could eat on the floor. So the reason I chose the truck, it was the most easy of the 5S's. And I'll tell you, the hardest for me is my computer. I've got to apply it, and I'm trying hard. It's hard to point out in any given company what is the easiest in your company, but there are some things that you can apply that I haven't even thought of that would be as easy as doing the truck. But you've got to make sure they're visual.
Our next question is, how can I prepare myself to lead this kind of change at my company?
I assume that came from an owner. And I believe that if you were to begin, there are lots of quality seminars on YouTube, and 99% of them are very good. But, you know, just beginning to say to yourself, I likewise need professional development, and begin to start taking that in. Just doing things like this webinar are a very good start. But starting off, and it sounds, it was 2004 in our company is when we started, and we, the management, decided that the most important thing we could do, and of course it started within ourselves, was the blame-free workplace. It took us 3 years to where I could say 3 years later that any time blame came up, it had been extinguished. It went straight to a process. It's preparing yourself for totally changing your company's culture. Let me tell you what if you can see clearly before you ever start that if you could get your company into a culture of prevention, in other words, every time we find something that's gone wrong, we set about its prevention. Not blame, prevention. Think about that. Think about the blame-free, think about the prevention. And I can tell you right now, whoever asked that question, let me tell you what the fuel of quality is. You don't need to worry if you've got the fuel of quality. The fuel of quality is the pursuit of excellence. No matter who you are, if you wake up in the morning with a pursuit of excellence, that is the fuel of quality, and you will find the path. Believe me, you will seek it out. And in any way I can be of help, I'm at your disposal.
Our next question here is, how do 5S activities get tracked on a time card? Would they be considered billable or admin? Is it worth tracking during the setup phase?
Well, not in the very beginning when you're just doing trucks. I don't think you're ever going to see it as billable time. It's just indirect. It's maintenance. Like, is it billable time when I sweep the warehouse or clean up the office? I think that they just kind of both fall in the same category. The tracking of it at the very end when we come up with sustainable processes, that probably is going to be very important to track time and make sure that there's not too much time spent, but at least you're tracking the amount of time it took to put the processes together.
Okay, we have a question about the sorting phase, and who should be involved when you're applying the method and you're in the sorting phase. Is that, you mentioned I believe this is in response to the example of the trucks, and the management going in and preparing an example truck. Are there other times when maybe the field crew is part of the sorting process?
I believe that, and I think you've heard me say it before, I believe the field crew is probably the most important to do this. But they need to see the example come from management. Even if it was management who joined them on some afternoon, that's just as good. The sorting, every single truck I had in my fleet, we had crap in there that we hadn't touched in years, but kept them just in case we would. And those things need to be discarded or stored somewhere else. However, if you're not touching them, they should be discarded. And it's just, the only reason they even mentioned it being done by management is to get everybody to see that management is behind this 100%. So if it's all done together as one team, that's even better. But those who use the equipment, use the warehouse, use the office, are the ones that are most apt to be able to go through the sorting process.
Our next question has to do with staff meetings and how can you use the staff meeting as an ongoing tool for increasing employee understanding about the quality management process and engaging them in it?
Well, I don't know how long the staff meeting is, but here's my whole thing on staff meetings and quality management. Should be in small bites and a larger bite of questions and answers. So if I went through the cleaning up of the trucks, my next staff meeting would be questions and answers to the same ones we're getting as to who sorts and what is sorted, and so that the small bites can come with more communication than anything else. Small wins, easy ones, and lots of communication. Make sure that you're getting their feedback as well as them getting yours. So I would use staff meetings, but I would not make it a dominant portion of the meeting. I would deal with it, do the questions, make sure that everybody feels comfortable that they've got their questions answered.
Our next question has to do with promoting or sponsoring employee input on this. What do you have recommendations about how to request that employees make suggestions for areas where quality improvements could be made? Is it a suggestion box or some other tool to keep employees thinking about and identifying opportunities to improve this area?
I'm writing something down so I don't forget to say it. Suggestions are great. Never ask for suggestions until you know that people know that there will be no blame. You want to get them to come out in the open with quality improvements that they see. Now here's something really important. Toyota only allows half a piece of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper for any suggestion. And the suggestion must be accompanied with a proposed solution, because a suggestion box can fill up with 1,000 problems, which doesn't help very much at all. But if somebody sees a problem and thinks maybe they have a solution, then I would restrict it to a very small amount that they even need to do, and it can be handwritten. I'll tell you something I did in my company that was really important to me to make sure that everybody realized that we were a team and worked together. I put over the top of the door, my office door, it's on both sides, entry and exit, the words, "Are you having fun?" And it became a mantra. Now let me tell you what fun stood for. The F was financially sound. The U was undoubtedly right. The N was notably rewarding. So that when I ask, or a crew leader asks, or anyone in the company asks somebody, "Are you having fun?" what they were really asking was, the work we did today, was it financially sound? So I'm asking the workers, is there any way we can improve it and make it more financially sound, or is it right on? So the work we did, is it financially sound? Was it notably rewarding to you, the customer, the supplier, and the funder? was it notably rewarding? And then, excuse me, undoubtedly right, and then the N, notably rewarding. I kind of skipped the U. Undoubtedly right, no question at all what we did today. The standard, the best practice, the way we conducted ourselves with our customer, with everybody involved, was undoubtedly right. So financially sound, undoubtedly right, and notably rewarding was the way I engaged everybody in our company. And it just became a mantra.
Well, we have a few minutes left here, John. I was wondering if you had any final thoughts or recommendations for our audience today.
Well, yes, I certainly do. There is a principle called the Pareto principle, and many of you are familiar with it. But what's really important to know is that only 20% of your problems are causing 80% of your loss in money. That's why it's so important to get to a blame-free workplace and then be able to come up with a process for getting to the root cause. In future times together, we'll talk about other ways to get to the root cause. But if you were to start the 5 whys, you will find real soon, after you've done this for a couple of months, that only 20% of the things that you see on a regular basis that you call problems, call a problem, actually are causing 80% of the issue you see in the field. Culture of prevention, a place where people have no blame, and going after the root cause are very big. They are the beginning of increasing the bottom line.
Great, thank you very much. Before we close today, I want to remind everybody of our schedule of educational opportunities. August 19th and 21st, if you're in the home upgrade program, there's a 45-minute briefing on the new home upgrade branding program. This is all contractors are requested to attend one of these 2 updates. You can register and get more details at the Build It Green website that you see on your screen there. Also on the 19th in the afternoon is a 3-hour training on how to get the most out of your participation in the energy upgrade, home upgrade program. Again, something you can register for through Build It Green. This is a free online participation workshop. Then on August 27th, the NorCal Collaboration Forum meets. This is a convening of participating contractors and program partners to work on ways to improve and enhance the home upgrade program. If you would like to be on the notification list, please send me an email. On September 3rd and September 9th, we have 2 webinars from Efficiency First, our national parent organization. September 3rd is Good, Better, Best, Navigating the All-Important Homeowner Conversation. And on September 9th, it's Get Caught Up, BPI Initiatives that Impact Your Business. These are great resources for ongoing training. Then on September 10th, we will have the next in the Build It Green webinar series, Avoid the Audit Report Trap in Your Sales Presentation with Mike Rogers. That'll be on September 10th from 9 to 10:30, and you can register on the Build It Green calendar. And then on September 15th, there is a technical training for BPI certified building analysts and raters in the home upgrade program. If you are in charge of submitting combustion appliance safety test information to the program, you are required to take this training. It's free, and Build It Green has more details on their calendar website. And then finally on September 18th and 19th, Build It Green is sponsoring a 2-day training, a certified green building professional training that will provide a complete and comprehensive overview and update on the whole industry of energy efficiency for homes and green building standards and best practices. There is an exam to obtain the certification that goes with this training. The exam cost is $150, but the course itself is free. Again, information on all these event opportunities are available on the builditgreenutilities.org/calendar webpage. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for attending today. We appreciate your taking time out of your day to join us, and I want to thank John Tooley for an excellent presentation. I think the issue of quality management is a really vital resource, and it's good to know that so many are interested in exploring it and using it in their businesses. So thank you very much. We hope to see you again on September 10th for our next webinar. In the meantime, have a great day.